Hello everybody, this is ratmforthewin here with a Corrupted Monarch deck profile. I decided to roll with this deck because I thought that it would be a fun idea. I will also present a deck profile later of a Light Water Darkness control. In my Corrupted, I have a Corrupted Wild Veggie combo, so of course I have to run Bad Apple as the general, or commander, or whatever, the Monarch in this case. And Bad Apple pretty much says that all the wild veggies in the battle zone are corrupted, and whenever one of your corrupted creatures attacks, you may put a top card of your deck into your mana zone. So I start off with the simple corrupteds, and all the wild veggies. I have 2 Aqua Tricksters. I have 2 Skyvault mechs, just because they're big and they're cheap to play. I have 2 Pesky Pineapples, 2 Duke Durans, and 2 Bronze Arm Renegade, 2 Tricky Turnip. These are really good since they are undiceable, can't be targeted as spells or abilities. That's really great. Blitz Commando to give all those creatures fast attack. He is even more useful than he seems right now because of a very specific card in this deck. 2 Full Metal Lemon. It's a wild veggie that becomes mana when it dies. It's really good for the ramp in general in the deck. Then we have... I've messed up a little bit here. Wait, I have to... There we go. We have the Seneschal, Shuttle's Tenant, to draw cards, and whenever a corrupted creature attacks. And it also makes all the corrupted hexproof, or well, can't be targeted spells or abilities level 4 or less. So, Vicious Squall Scourge, Evolution on Corrupted and Chimera. And whenever all of your corrupted creatures gets unblockable in Slayer, that is great. Ninja Pumpkin, just a wild veggie that forces your opponent to attack it when it's tapped. Field Marshal Cornucopia. This is the main reason why I wanted to run a wild veggie corrupted. It boosts all the wild veggies with 2000 power, and whenever one of my wild veggies attacks, I may put the non-evolution wild veggie that is level 5 or less from my mana zone into the battle zone. So even if I would have Bronze Arm Renegade out to get my corrupted into my mana and they would kill Bad Apple, I can get Bad Apple into mana and I can play Field Marshal and I can strike with the wild veggie to get Bad Apple out again. So that's great. And then I have the Warbringer Poseidon. All my corrupted are 2 mana cheaper to play. This doesn't of course affect wild veggies in my hand, unfortunately, but I still get to take them back to my hand if I have Bad Apple on field, because all my corrupted go back to my hand when they die. Then I have the one-off Sumo Artichoke, just because people have to attack it when it's tapped, and also it's a wild veggie, so it helps with the deck in general. Tideseer. This is just for fixing the mana base, and it lets me draw through my deck faster. Amber Adept, the same thing, except for that it only also serves the purpose to protect my creatures. I have the 2 Scaredorable Gloom Hollows, just because they are really good against aggression, and also they are chimeras, so they are evolution bait for Vicious Squall Scourge. Krakus the Dominator to lock down these blocker heavy decks, because this is a pretty aggressive deck and I don't want hordes of blockers to be in the way for the deck's purpose. 2 Mesmerize to control my opponent a little bit, just to make sure that he or she doesn't have the cards that I don't want to see. Waveforce Seer to get some unblockables, always good in an aggressive deck. Blinder Beetles, just to tap down creatures to attack them or maybe attack over them, depending on the situation. Spinning Terror, just to lock down these heavy control that reverberate, makes your opponent draw a card for each shield and then break every single shield that they have. So Spinning Terror is a nice tech in this. I have the one-off Keeper of Laws, just because, well, it lets me draw cards. It doesn't do that much in itself in the deck. Doesn't have that synergy, but it's really good in itself, so that's why it's in there. 1 containment field just for some extra tap, and usually I have a lot of creatures on the board. The must-have 2 crystal memory to search for whatever I want to get in my deck. Piercing Judgment, just a really good shield blast and a really good card in general for bounce and tap. Blastforge Sweeper, yet again the same thing, just to search through my deck faster. I get to throw away 1 card and draw 2, and also I get a body on board, so it's really good. 2 Gigahorn Chargers. These let me search through all my 5,000 or more power cards from my deck. That includes all my actual important cards like Vicious Glow Scourge, Warbringer Poseidon. It brings in the regular Squilla Scourge, it brings in King Tritonus and stuff like that. 2 Salvation Reckoner, just Shield Blast and tap, just some extra shield power and also extra tap effects. Master Trader's Ophelia, to draw cards equal to your opponent and draw 1 extra if you get into the situation where that's really needed. 1 Tornado Flame, just because it's good removal. 2 General Finbar, for some extra draw power and also some bouncing. This can be used to bounce my own Gigahorn Charger to search through for whatever card I want. So it's a really good card. Blaze Helix, destroy all the blockers or attack all the untapped creatures. It has so many utilizations in this deck since, well, this deck usually has a lot of creatures on board. 2 Storm Spark Blasts. I don't really have to explain why. 2 Arbiters, same thing there. It's a body. It taps up to 2 creatures when it comes in. Terror Pit, just banish target enemy creature. It's a good card. 1 Worldwaker Omgoth. This can be really good sometime when you're in a tight spot and you have these small creatures but you can't really get through, and then you bring out the Worldwaker and you put all these cards into mana and you draw a lot of cards when you strike them, because there's really not any reason for not striking with Omgoth in this deck in 9 out of 10 occasions. Absolute Incineration, just a great removal spell. I used to have 1, but I bumped it up to 2 because I realized that control decks will be way too heavy in this format. The Swift Regeneration, this card brings out cards from my mana zone up to level 7 or less total, and this can be used to like bring in Blitz Commando to get Wild Veggies fast attack and to bring out Bad Apple if it's trapped in the mana zone and stuff like that, just to get out the cards that I need in the right situation. The 1 of Skull Shatter to just destroy the control for control decks in general. Squilla Scourge, this card is so good in this deck. Just discarding all your cards and all your opponent's cards. I just run 1 though because I will only need it at very specific occasions, especially since I am running this as well. The 2 of King Tritonus. This is to buff up all the corrupted creatures, and also to draw cards and to lock down my opponent whenever I play a spell. It's just really good in the deck. So, that's my first deck profile. It's the Corrupted Wild Veggie Monarch deck. So, I'm pretty satisfied with this deck, and I think it's a lot of fun to play. And I'm really looking forward to trying to make new decks in the future. I hope to get to play with some of you out there someday. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. This is ratmforthewin, signing out.